me ask you about what's going on in Venezuela, Doctor. I mean, you've seen these protests, riots. There's video that we got to Fox today that showed people collecting and eating out of garbage cans. A lot of folks have looked at that and said, you know, that could happen here. It could get off the wheels fast here. What do you think?
Well, I think on the way there, we basically go through Greece. But Venezuela is about to collapse. There's no way of getting around it. The fundamentals are falling apart, and at some point there's going to be a revolt internally there, as far as I can visualize it.
Do you think that spreads? Do you think that spreads a revolt? Because some said it could extend through all of Central South America. It could spread in these countries you alluded to. In Europe, they're sick of having to tighten their belts and the constant stumbling from crisis to crisis, rescue to rescue, and that this could be part of a global pandemonium.
Yeah, no, let's not go to extremes. Venezuela is the extreme on the continent. It used to be Zimbabwe. Now we have Venezuela. There's going to be an internal revolt there if they don't get that resolved.
Should we do anything to help them? Should we do anything to stabilize them?
I don't think we can. I don't think they would accept it, and I don't think that they have the mechanisms to accept. They don't have an infrastructure that would enable them to accept the type of aid that they need.
What did you think of the Puerto Rico deal? What did you think of that deal? Because that was something, again, it's a Commonwealth, not nearly the crisis, the Civil War type environment.
I'm sorry, the what?
Puerto Rico.
The what deal?
Puerto Rico restructuring its debt. What do you think of that?
That's a domestic political issue. I mean, obviously, we have seen the issue of unfunded pension funds, not only in Puerto Rico, but in many of the states of the United States and in a vast number of countries around the world. This is fundamentally what the issue is. We used to be in a state in our country, and indeed everywhere else, that those sorts of things did not happen. The systems were relatively stable. But we have a huge number of problems which confront Latin America, as everybody is aware. Even China is running into trouble, and India is not doing as well. It's still got a licensurage problem. We are, relatively speaking, in the United States, still doing better than most. So it's not as though it's the United States falling behind. It's the fact that despite the fact that our entitlements have gone up from less than 4% of GDP in 1965 to almost 15%.
Yeah, no, as you said, it's unsustainable.
Huge chunk of GDP.
But you became Chairman of the Federal Reserve right at the time, right before the 1987 stock market crash. We've had other crashes since, not too many that you lose a quarter of your value in one day. But we've had other crashes since. We've had 9/11. We've had the Great Meltdown almost a decade ago. Some are saying we're due for something else like that again. What do you say?
Look, first of all, the dot-com boom and indeed the earlier crisis where the Dow fell 23%, neither one of them left any strong negative economic inputs. And the reason essentially is that the people who held the toxic assets at those times were basically not funded by debt. In other words, there was very little leverage that went on in the United States back in 1987.
So something like that
or during the
now is not the same scenario. Whatever happens wouldn't be like that, but it would be something potentially worse.
Well, it's got a mere collapse in stock prices per se is not a problem for the economy as a whole. It obviously is for the holders of the stocks, the securities, and business and the like, and it does affect capital investment. But it doesn't break the structure of the economy as a whole unless the holders are highly leveraged. It's not the type of asset that's the problem, it's who holds it. So when you had basically the subprime mortgage problem, it wasn't so much the subprime mortgage, which frankly worked very well until they started to get go a little bit
a little too far, a little too
questionable
far.
practices,
Right.
a little bit berserk.